Okay. Hi, and welcome to Lightworkers Secret to Success. We are here whether I'm ready or not. So anyways, we want to say thank you so much for being here today. We have a fantastic guest today. We're so honored for her to be on our show today. And she is a modern mystic. This is Patricia. We're so thankful that you're here and willing to talk with us. And we are so excited to hear about what you have going on, what you've been doing in the past, all the things that you've created. Um, so just give a little bit of information about Patricia. She is an author. She has 7 best-selling books. 4 of them are with Rada Publishing House. And Patricia, why don't you tell us a little bit about your books and what inspired you to be, what your chapters are about, what inspired you, and then a little bit about your experience working with Rada Publishing House, and then we'll go into some other stuff that you've been working on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me as a guest on your podcast. It's awesome. So the first book that I worked uh, with Rada Publishing House um, was the Energy Healing and Soul Medicine book. And my chapter in there is all about how I received this butterfly healing technique, which is a combination of vibrational medicines, right? Or vibrational modalities, right? The butterfly is a really high frequency
Yeah.
um, um, spirit animal, right? And so it's all about using these in a way, in an alchemy where Isis actually, Isis visited me as like the butterfly medicine woman
Mhm.
and showed me how um, to use vibrational medicine to support people to uh, transform from, what they were here in their everyday life into like a multi-dimensional being, right? And so it just goes through and talks about the experience of how that all came through. And yeah, and then that just moved right into the Awakening Starseeds, volume 3. Um,
Okay.
and that in that particular chapter, I talk about stardust blood codes, which is really about like the origins, the codes that we carry in our DNA, right, when we incarnate, and in the minerals in our body and all of that, and I just talk about the different ones that I carry
Mhm.
and how I would like to use those for harmony, to create harmony among all of us different star seeds,
Yeah.
or people. I've actually been I feel like I've had so many lifetimes on Earth that at times I wish I could go back to the stars, but I haven't made it there. There,
Oh,
I don't think I am for a while. So
gosh.
anyway, and then the third book was Stories of the Goddess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I talk about my the alchemical perfumes that I make with essential oils
Oh,
to
wow.
embody the frequencies of the goddess when I work with clients.
Yeah.
So that's
Nice.
a really fun chapter.
Mhm.
And then the fourth one that I did with Rada is the first time I ever published poetry, and it's called
Yeah.
Poems from the Heart. And
Yeah.
so I did a series of conversations with Gaia. And so there's 6 poems in there, and it's my my soul speaking to Gaia and her responding to me.
Oh,
And so it's,
beautiful.
it's very close to my heart. And yeah, that those were, and I'm supposed to start writing my poetry for it's called it's for a sensual poetry book. And so it's really about talking about the sensuality of life. And for me it really connects the way that I connect ecstatically to nature, because that's more along my lines of where my sensuality is. And so I'm looking forward to finally grounding into that sometime in the new year. It's
Yeah.
just been, how 2024 has been for many people.
Well, it's been pretty hard, I think, on all of us. It's just,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to new energies coming through and new vibrations, new
Good
frequencies.
vibrations.
And that's why we have our channel, because it's people like us that have kind of signed up to bring those new frequencies, those new vibrations forward, to help people, just like you were saying about the frequencies and the butterfly healing method, where you're taking them from one vibration and then really bringing them into the next phase, right?
Mhm.
So important right now. And even like what we're all going through together as the collective. And
Right.
um, so, how was your experience working with Rider Publishing?
Well, it has, I have to just celebrate her way of supporting you to do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you can like sit, no, I can't do that. No, I'm not an author. I can't write, or, and she just really inspired me and really made me feel comfortable, and she has an ability to bring out your
Mhm.
voice, your authentic voice, and in a community. And I really enjoyed the aspect of the other authors, and
Yeah.
how when you see someone else doing it right, or you become even more inspired, and you feel a little bit safer. And so
Yeah.
she really helped me open up to expressing myself in ways that I, 5 years ago, 10, I wouldn't have thought that I would be talking about star blood codes, or the goddess in, a book. Like, I used to do that in private communities and whatnot. But yeah, so she really expanded my world quite a bit, and she just has great ideas,
And I
right?
with with every book, even working with her gets better and better, because she
Yeah.
gets downloads, she gets more ideas, she gets more, oh, we're going to create this community and do this. And, and I think each book she builds on more,
Yes.
more support. Um,
And they
and
always have a higher calling, like a higher purpose, which I love.
yeah, yeah. Well, okay, so tell us a little bit about what you created, and how were you downloaded with all of this? Like, you created the butterfly healing method, and was it just something that you kind of just grabbed all your modalities and put them together, or how did that happen?
I don't like that, you never, it was very organic. But I would say that, in 2008, I took a leave of absence from my day job, and I went to a healing arts school and got a massage license.
Okay.
And that's when it opened. Like, that was the part of me, that was ready. It was like, okay, I've done the strict science thing. Now I want to know, like, I want to go deeper into healing. And so that's when I started to get the downloads. But it's taken me, a decade or more
Mhm.
to have gone through so many initiations and learned so many, different modalities, and like, how do they work together. And the butterfly has always been with me. I mean, my business is called Mariposa Body. That's been the name that I've had since, 2008 or nine, I think, is when I officially got it. And so it's always been about this butterfly and that metamorphosis, and about how I had to go through that first. I still am. I mean, we all are. We're constantly being put back in the cocoon, and being turned into alchemical soup, right? And so that's what the butterfly medicine is. I don't know what I'll use, on a person. They come in, and it might, craniosacral is really an important aspect to,
Sure.
support the integration of the new codes right through the nervous system. And then the essential oils, and the I do light language and sound healing, and the Akashic records. That work that I've been doing for quite some time now is another high vibration, right? It's up in the 5D. And so,
Yeah.
well, it's in the 4D, but you're clearing the way to the 5D by clearing out that subconscious. And so that's been a really important aspect of the butterfly healing method as well. And then I do yoga with people, movement and dance, so things like that. So it's all about moving energy into different, the alignment, right, with your higher blueprint, higher design, divine design, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I
So
think it's important for you to be open to different modalities and being open to learning that there's not just one way of doing something, right? Because you may get into one person and they're like, what are you doing? Like they just don't buy into it. But then you have this other thing, you just follow the energy and something else in your toolbox. They're like, oh,
yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, Adam and I are both energy healers too. So we have different modalities that we use.
uh,
And working with people, sometimes they're kind of stuck in their muck, right? And they're kind of grounded in there. And you're like, we need to move this. And you just have to kind of follow the energy so that their subconscious will allow for that healing to take place
mhm, mhm,
during that time. So I'm
yeah.
always like, oh, well, you did this appointment, but we're actually going to do this instead because this is what your body's requiring. It was just like,
Exactly.
okay.
See, right? We all have our method, right? We all have our it's just I am the method. It's just me, right?
Yeah.
It's my frequency of how I hold people. Well, you
Yeah.
have yours and Adam has his and everybody is called to who has the right vibration that they need.
Yeah. And I do believe that people are um, whoever needs our help, they're going to come to us when it's that time. And that doesn't mean that only we can help them, like other people can help them too.
Right. No, I mean I think it's always synergy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, that like you talked about your group, you have, multiple people in your podcast, and like that's a beautiful, like that's the synergy, that
Yeah.
I
can
am
happen.
curious though, what is a Kundalini yoga teacher? I've never heard that before.
Oh, so the Kundalini is the raising of the up your central channel, the
Hmm.
creative flow of energy. And so
Hmm.
the Kundalini yoga teacher, it's an ancient tradition, and it's different ways of moving the body to stimulate that life force energy. So it's a vitality yoga versus like Ashtanga or Iyengar, where it's more about holding a pose or moving in a flow. This one is like generating energy. And so
Hmm.
sometimes it's really quick. And so I'll help people move their body to get energy that's stuck out. Whereas
Oh,
the other one strengthen it. Like sometimes you don't want
Yeah.
to strengthen yourself when you've got stuck energy
You
because
don't
that
want to be
then
strong.
it's going to be solidified in
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
hmm. Oh, interesting. Hmm. I've
I
never
had to
heard of
go
it
through it
before.
myself first, right? I had to
We
be,
have to. Like we go through it first, then we can help other people go through it as well.
and I still have to go see my acupuncturist to help me on unblock channels. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't do acupuncture. I have to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
haven't tried acupuncture. A lot of people have said, "Have you done it?" And I'm like, I've thought about it so many times. I've just never made the appointment to do it. So one of these days, when I'm supposed to, I will.
The right person shows up. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Patricia, you've done so much already. You have so many modalities. What do you envision for 2025? Like, what do you want to create for that year? I mean, Adam and I, we love having roundtables and masterminds where we have groups like this, and we always ask them, like, okay, what's set for next year, and then we make a plan. But what is your plan for next year?
That's a good
Or,
question.
or do you have one?
I
Hmm.
do. I do. So, I mean, numerologically, this has been a year 9 for me.
Okay.
So it's like wrapping things up. And so I'm heading into a 1 year,
1 year.
and I'm setting the foundation for what I'm going to be doing for the next, 9 years, right? And it's the last 2 years, my work has been around what's called the Voices of Gaia. And
Mhm.
it's about New Earth leadership, and it uses the gene keys and human design and the Akashic records and all the other things I just talked to you about. So I'm creating this mastermind program
Oh,
that,
nice.
yeah, people who feel called to be a voice of Gaia's and a New Earth leader, that they go through these initiations, and then I help them fine tune their energy systems That's what I'm going to be grounding next year. I mean, it's going to take, it's going to take some time, but I have a program starting in February.
Okay.
I don't start in January because everybody's just
By February, all their New Year's resolutions had fizzled out. So February again.
yes, that's my big dream, right? And then
You should
spirit
consider
does what you do. What's that?
you should consider starting like March 1st because that's actually the
That's
beginning of
actually
the actual new year, right? So
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be
that's
nice.
true.
Mhm.
To
Yeah.
start filling the container in February and start in March.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. So where will people learn more about that? Will be that on your website, like a coming soon mastermind type of thing, and
Yeah,
join the
it
program?
is. I don't actually have it on my website yet because I haven't finalized it, but it will be on there coming in, January or so.
Cool.
Um, yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool. And obviously you haven't figured out pricing yet or anything with it?
No, I haven't. I usually my 3 month group spirals, which is what I've been running the last 2 years. We meet once a week, at least almost like, we meet 9 times. And
Mhm.
that usually is around $900 for 3 months, which,
Mhm.
and you get a one-on-one with me too. So
Mhm.
it'll be something like that. And I think it's gonna roll into, every 3 months, there'll be a new entry point for people to come in. And then who knows, it could roll into being an evergreen, right? Or it's just continual, but
Mhm.
that's next, that's another year away.
Good.
That's 2.0, right?
That's 2 point. And when you can feel the momentum in your body, like it's just gonna go
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
it's
So
gonna be something that people can.
what's the hope and desire from this? Like what are you hoping that sort of people get out of going to that course?
For me, it's been about learning to live multidimensionally, right? To be
Mhm.
comfortable going in and out of like the density, of the 3D and navigating up, right? And seeing the 5D picture, right? Before you come back down and do something in the
Mhm.
3D. So it's helping people navigate the realms by embodying their gifts. So like with the gene keys, I use them because everybody has a specific set of energies.
Mhm.
And so it's helping them to recognize and to open up and to um, learn how to be with their shadows.
Okay.
We don't get rid of our shadows necessarily. We integrate them, but they're just always going to come up. And so learning to be human, but learning to be divine at the same time.
Cool.
So when you were doing your the Gene Keys ambassador and guide, so how did you know you were going through an initiation with that?
Well, we were told we were.
Okay.
No, it was so it was a 9 month process, and there's 64 gene keys, and they're like a spectrum of consciousness. And I think I've mentioned before we got on that they came out of the gates from human design. So they're based in the I Ching, and then there's some other quantum, I want to say quantum aspects, and then there's also the Kabbalah. There's just a lot of different lineages that flow through these gene keys, but there's 64 of them, and there was a certain set of them that we had to ourselves as ambassadors had to be initiated in
Okay.
through, so that we learned how to integrate the shadows of those for being an ambassador.
Okay.
And it was very intense, and it's all very much a heart transmission. So it's very much contemplative path. And then it's like the going in, right, and into the higher realms, into your higher self. And then when you come back out into the 3D, you're coming from an open-hearted place versus closed heart, a
Yeah.
defensive heart, an angry heart, whatever. So it's more a compassionate path is what it is.
And so the Gene Keys came from human design. So then so human design came first, and then Gene Keys were kind of born through that. So someone like was proficient in human design, and they're like, "Hey, wait minute, there's this other part that is
Yeah.
downloaded to this person, correct?
Yeah, Richard Rudd, he was a student of Ra Uru Hu. And then so the human design, is all like kind of the implementation of your energetics. And then there's gates on your profile. And so Richard Rudd, he dove into each one of those 64 gates. And
Okay.
he came as these heart transmissions, these tantric transmissions came through him. And he identified the shadow, the gift, and the city for each one of them.
Okay.
It's a beautiful body of work. I mean, it's like very poetic, and that's probably why I love it. It's very, very poetic.
Very poetic, very beautiful. Yeah. Nice. And then, so does everybody have 64 gene keys or no? Or you just have?
Well, they say that we all do to a certain degree, right? As level of separation. But your primary profile in human design, and then the gene keys has a separate one as well. You have a certain set, but they're all linked to each other. So in essence, you essentially have all of them, but some of them are just your dominant ones.
More dominant. The others are more in the background, and
they're associated with astrology, right? I didn't say that. And so
it's kind of like your astrology, where you have your dominant planets and the other ones are just.
That's exactly what it's based on. And but it's based on the energetics of your body. So like your sun gate, which mine is what they call 56, and it's in my throat.
Okay.
And so, but it's about speaking about things that are soulfully enriching to people. And then ultimately, at the highest essence, it's like divine intoxication. And so that's why I'm so driven probably to the gene keys, because
it's speaking your truth, and then you speak light language. And me, I cannot speak light language if my life depended on it. I've tried it so many times. I'm also blocked from that, and I know why I'm blocked from that. I can't speak it right now, because of who I am. I'm not allowed to.
Just admit it. You probably just emit the light language from your body.
I am a transmuter for sure, but I can't speak it. I mean, verbally. I can't verbally speak it. So, well, I like that you said that, because I've always felt bad, like, I want to speak light language, but yeah, emitting it through my body feels better to me. Like, it feels light. So thank you for that. I was just initiated into light language.
We all have it.
Adam and I did the human design code. I'm a manifester. He's a projector.
Oh, and okay, I'm a manifesting generator. So
okay, yeah. Well, the gal that we were talking to, they're like, oh, like they said, like, didn't they say the manifester was like kind of what'd she say?
There's not very many of you.
Yeah, there's
not. She said, yeah, it was very rare.
And you came here to do what you do, and you just tell people what you're going to do. And
I do. I know when someone tries to tell me what to do, I get so mad.
Well, that is the
I'll listen to you.
that's the aspect of being a manifester, is when you're angry, that tells you that you're needing to shift your direction.
It's almost like how dare you try to tell me.
Exactly, because you know what you know, and that's
and it's more like, how dare you try to tell me what I can't do. That's when I get mad. Like, okay, if you tell me no, I'm going to keep asking until I find the yes. That's kind of how I do. So, but also manifestors are like the bigger picture people. So it's like we get the big picture, and then we have to find, like, what is it, projectors that like do the action work. Do you do that, Adam? Are you the action step? I can't remember.
Guide. Yeah, the guides.
Yeah. He's like, I don't remember.
They're the ones who know, they can see where things need to happen.
I think for me, like, I'm a little bit of both. I can see big picture, and I can also see like the small details that need to be done to get to that big picture. And so I think that's where a lot of people, really don't excel. And that's really where I do excel, especially if it's something that I'm really, really interested into. Or I see it as a big problem, and by solving that problem on, what it will do and how it'll help so many people. And, my background was, I was in retail for many years, and that's how I got going in, like, I went up the chain so fast because I just got things so quickly. And they're like, no one can do it that fast. And I'm like, oh, I mean, it's pretty easy once you know, create a routine and then you get people on the routine. And then before I knew it, I was just running the entire stores, and it was like, it was a breeze to me because I could just see all those details that had to be done, and I could see the bigger picture on how to get it done. And then, but I was also in the trenches, so to speak, where I could actually do the work in the trenches, right?
Yeah,
My
but
mom,
your projectors are also rare, you know, they're, and
yeah,
yeah,
no,
and
that's what they said. Yeah, we're too
but,
rare
so,
people.
and then there's me, you know, I'm a manifesting generator, so I'm like the general, like you give me the thing and I will get it.
You'll get it done.
I'll line up the people and I'll get it
Oh,
done.
okay. We need more people like you in our lives, because I have the big picture and I come up with the ideas. I'm like, this is what we need to do. But I'm not going to do it. Someone else needs to do it. I'm like, I just come up with the ideas. And
Right.
someone
No,
else.
I'm here to work. I'm here to create. That's why I can't help myself, because if I don't create, I feel like I'm dying. So
Exactly. So do you feel like, because you know, there's so many beings that have been diagnosed with certain, you know, certain things, and then they're like stuck with a label. And I'm just like, you know, I feel like when you're, well, what's been downloaded to me is when you've been diagnosed with like ADD or ADHD, because you have all this creative energy and you have nowhere to put it. And so then you like act out a little bit, right? And so for me, I wasn't diagnosed with that, but I kind of self-diagnosed myself as an adult, because I think when I was growing up, they just didn't have, that wasn't,
right.
you know, a real thing until maybe a few years after I was out of elementary school, probably. But I just remember always daydreaming in class. I don't even know how I made it through school, honestly, because I was always thinking of stuff. I wasn't like paying attention in class. I
Yeah.
remember, I just remember always looking outside, looking at the clouds. I'm like, oh, so
You have
pretty.
to be out there.
Like, hello. I'm like, what? What do you want?
I'm still like that at work. I'm like, unless they give me something to make, I'm like,
Yeah. Like, oh, okay, what are we doing?
yeah.
Yeah, so I like that. And but I think that's part of like what you were talking about before, where um you know, creating the new earth leaders, and we need those people with those high frequencies and the high vibrations to be a part of that, because they can take on so many things. Like Adam and we literally run circles around people, like literally. Like I can't have a normal job because I do like the job of three people while this person barely gets their job done, you know? So it's like drives me crazy. So I work for myself, so I don't have to, you know, deal with that kind of stuff. But and then Adam, of course, is he's self-employed as well. So he can just regulate himself, which works pretty good.
Well, sort of. I'm waiting on a lot of people because they react a lot slower and they just can't
That's what
keep
I
up
mean.
with my level.
Yeah, we run circles around certain people, and then we get a little antsy.
So I know,
Mhm.
Patricia, you were talking a little bit earlier about before we got on recording that you did have a special gift for anyone watching this.
Oh,
Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
yeah, sure. So like I mentioned, the new earth leadership and the voices of Gaia, there's 8 archetypes. And the first one is called the peacekeeper. And so there's 8 gene keys that are associated with a peacekeeper. And so I have on my website, if you sign up to receive my newsletter, you'll get a 60-minute Akashic wisdom gene keys journey
Wow.
clearing for it's called the orientation journey for the peacekeeper. So it just opens up the field to what the peacekeeper is about. And with Akashic clearings, when you make them, it applies to whoever listens to the replay. So you will benefit from whatever clearing or activation came through at that time. And so that's
Oh,
what's
wow.
on my website right now.
Cool. And
What are the
that's free.
different 8
That's free.
archetypes that you're talking about? Sorry.
So these are what I channeled through. And there's the peacekeeper, and there's
Mhm.
the gatekeeper. And this is all on my website too, if anyone
Okay,
wants.
okay.
And then the miracle worker,
Whoa.
the light bringer, the alchemist, the visionary, the lover, and the entertainer. And that's the group I'm in right now. And the entertainer, it's like the most human part, but it's the most divine. It's the divine entertainer. It's like what you came here, what role you came here to play. So it's like the final spiral that I'm doing before I open up into this whole new whatever in 2025.
Okay.
Wow.
I
So,
missed the last two. Okay. Between
lover and entertainer. I
lover.
talk fast too. Lover and
Oh, that's
entertainer.
okay. No, what was the other one before that? Okay, so I got Lightbringer,
Vision-
alcohol, visionary, right?
Vision.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that one. And everybody has their like prime ones. Like some people, there'll be some people whose design, like one woman, like her whole thing is Lightbringer, right? And then other people have like 3 primary or sometimes 4 or 5 that like there's like tied. And so
Well, yeah, because I'm looking at it, I'm like,
you get a profile that tells you, oh, well, my
oh,
energy, according to my design, say that I'm, for me, I'm a peacekeeper, a visionary, and a lover. Those are like my prime.
okay. And then does it go based upon like percentages? Like I
It's
do a lot.
basically a system that I developed based on the design and
Okay.
the amount of times, the energies that you're vibrating just based on your design when you're in
It's
clarity.
based upon your birthday, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Because I'm like reading, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And then I'm like, well, that could be me. And that could be me.
And like I said, you have all of them. And so I always encourage people to go where they're called, right? Don't
Yeah.
people before, your intuition before numbers, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you know what you need. Yeah. Or what you're called.
Oh,
Thank you for asking.
yeah. Adam, did you have any other questions for Patricia?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm really intrigued by all of this for
I
sure.
know, me too.
Especially the Kundalini yoga teacher. I
Oh,
mean, that to
yeah.
me, Amanda was able to get mine unstuck before we officially got together. And so now I can really feel it like moving, and like, especially, at certain times I can really feel it more so than others.
He
But
was really stuck, and our guide kept telling me I needed to activate him. And I'm like, what do you mean activate him? And so all I did was I said, can I put my hand on your heart? And he said, yes. I put my hand on his heart and then underneath, and I just kind of held him like that. And I didn't know what needed to happen, but whatever, just by doing that really awakened him to his and I don't want to speak for you, Adam, but it really did awaken you to your divine purpose, or what did it awaken you to?
I
Your
think I was
mission?
always on my divine purpose, to be honest. I think it just allowed things to maybe happen a little bit more easily, and to I don't know if you've actually experienced your Kundalini energy moving, but the way that I can best describe it, um it's almost like when your hand or your fingers fall asleep and they get numb, and that tingling feeling. But just imagine that going through your spine and up your spinal cord, and you can feel it moving. And it's not like, when your fingers fall asleep and you're tapping it and it kind of hurts a little bit because it's tingling. This is like a pure sensation of like it feels like you're at source energy, is what it feels like. It just, like, all of your cells are just vibrating at such a high pace, and it just makes you feel like out of this world. Like you're not in that dense energy anymore. And when you get to that point, it, like, you just have this pureness about you, and you just have, just absolute love is the only way I can really describe it. And I don't even know if that makes sense to anyone what I'm saying, but I highly encourage you to find a way to get that moving,
Mm,
because it activates a lot more things, and I'll leave your mind open for what a lot more things actually means
Yeah.
for you. But for me, it really changed my thought patterns and how I was thinking, and I know when it's stuck too, right? So then I find ways to get it going again and to stimulate it again in certain ways that, I'm building my own techniques. So I was never showed this. I just started building my own techniques to kind of get it moving again.
That's nice. I didn't know that. Patricia, do you find that when you're working with people that their Kundalini energy is blocked, and maybe that because a lot of people may not be aware of
Yeah,
that and how?
definitely. I mean, I noticed that even before I started, working with people with Kundalini yoga, like when I was doing
Yeah.
craniosacral, it's like
Okay.
I could tell where it was stuck along this, the spine from the sacrum
Hmm. Hmm.
to the cranium, and I would adjust it and move it just like
Mhm.
you were saying, I don't not the same exactly what you did, I'm sure, but just my way of
Yeah.
adjusting the energy flow. And so, yeah, definitely a lot of people come to me in particular because of what I'm designed to do is to unblock their throat chakra and their sacral, right? So, because I am a sacral being, like I'm in human design, like I just go, I follow where my body
Hmm.
tells me to go, and then my throat is defined, and so I model consistent energy through my throat, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So people want to model, they want to learn how to have more consistent energy and expression through their voice, and they just somehow find me. And I didn't realize that for a long time.
Hmm.
Right? You never know. It's like,
Yeah.
what? I don't know, but or they want to be creative, right? Like they
Yeah.
say, oh, I want to be able to do more of that, or like that kind of thing. And like, and I paint too, so I'll paint like transmissions for people.
Oh,
And I'll
beautiful.
put these things up, and I have an oracle card deck that has all my digital art, and it's like, so all of these things are transmissions, right? And so
What?
people who
Yeah.
come to me, they want more of that kind of thing in their life.
What's your oracle deck called?
It's called the Infinite Self Oracle card deck.
Infinite
Yes.
Oracle.
And it's on my
Paris, your
website too.
painting behind yours almost matches our background, like the
It
spiral.
does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? I painted this one to be a portal to, like, when I was
Yeah.
doing some work with Sirius and some other star systems or stars. So yeah,
Cool.
I love
Right.
I love to paint.
That's good. That's
I'm
well,
a busy little
we're
bee.
so busy. And thank you so much for
Thank
just
you.
making the time to be interviewed today. We really appreciate your time and your energy and your knowledge. And if you ever want to come back on our show, you're more than welcome. Maybe when we have other people, or if we always like to re-interview people. Just if you have something new coming about, you can say, "Hey, can you guys interview me so I can tell you about my new program?" It's like, sure. We invite you to come back. So just let us know when you want to come back and tell us about all the new and exciting things that you have going on. Well, we want to thank you for listening today. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so and share this video with your friends, your family, and make sure to read Patricia's bio underneath this description, where she will have her website and that free 60-minute gift that she's giving to everyone that signs up for her newsletter. So thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye for
Thank
now.
you.